Hi there, welcome. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere, appreciate it. Today we're continuing on and coming full circle with what's going on in the true crime community to do with Zavgirl. Today we're looking at Landen's response as well as Zavgirl's apology video, an additional post by her, kind of documenting it as we go along, but also trying to maintain a level of balance so it doesn't become a witch hunt, okay? So for the people watching right now, welcome. It's good of you to watch as we go along. Probably best not advised to do a witch hunt here or there because it won't really lead to much good coming out of it because it's already a bit of a mess, right? As for the long term, when it comes to true crime communities and certain channels out there, when news like this comes about and there's bits of drama and conflict, it doesn't do well. It doesn't sit well because the effects it can have long term are quite great. So like credibility being lost, trust out of the thrown out the water or whatever you call it. It can make it a bit harder down the line for people to look up or listen. So sometimes it's a bit of a juggling act where you got to be covering cases, maybe sometimes sensitive stuff, but then you've also got to look into, are you allowed to cover it, yes or no? Is this of public information, yes or no, or is it private? All these like different things you got to look at on top of the YouTube guidelines as well, because you know what YouTube can be like. So it is a big juggling act, and at times people can mess up or slip up and things can go wrong. When it comes to the Zavgirl, it does seem obvious that the majority of people have strong thoughts and feelings about Zavgirl and her recent actions. Today, we can look at her apology. I'll probably try and cut it up a little bit just to avoid any unnecessary issues, as you know, because of the footage. I will give credit to Zavgirl and her channel down below to acknowledge where the video came from, okay? It's only right I do that. And we can just like analyze it, try and make sense of it, you know, is it genuine or not? Just like when you get all those other apology videos on YouTube, sometimes there's a bit of a trend where they're sorry only because they've got caught. Well, we'll get to the bottom of it, or at least try to come to some conclusion today, okay, after seeing it, as well as some additional post. Because, you know, the thing is, it looks as if Zavgirl's previous community posts have been deleted, taken down, probably just because of the resistance she's received and what people think about her. I get that, but it ends up being deleted and then you can never see it again. So if these videos can document it, you can always like look back at what was once there. Just like what we've done with all the other cases and communities out there, it's worth covering it because you never know, it might be needed down the line to prove a point or to defend someone or to counter, whatever it might be, okay? And as well, it's necessary to cover this video, this small, I don't know if you'd call it series, this small back-to-back coverage of what's gone on to reach the full circle. Because if you're going to start it, you might as well try and end it if possible and just like summarize it at the end of the day, come to like a conclusion. Just like when you cover missing people cases, sure, there might be other channels out there that might talk about a case for 1 or 2 videos and then that's it, never return back. That's kind of disappointing. It's a bit of a cliffhanger, right? But you know, you're in a position where you can return back, you can provide an update or conclude, whether it's positive or negative. It at least ties up the loose ends, because just like with the Dylan Brown's case, I don't like the idea of just things being out there and not really being solved or cleared up, okay? It makes it easier and more understandable when you can clear it up, right? Remove some of the baggage, clear the way so it's easier to think and move forwards. That's another reason to why we're doing that today. Apologies if I do look to the left, it's because there's some weird insect or fly on the wall and I don't want it to get too near to me. It looks like it's waving to me at the moment, which is a bit odd. Is there anything else I wanted to highlight? Well, you never know, some of the posts by Zavgirl might get taken down once again. That's why it needs to be covered now, just in case, right? As for Dylan Round's coverage or my other videos in recent time, I'll provide links down below in the pinned comment section if you haven't already checked out my previous videos. On top of that, if you need to get away from drama, conflict, tension, you want to watch something funny or supposedly funny, depending what your sense of humour is like, a link will be down below as well to do with a fun video, so you can check that out as well. Of course, shout out last night to Arkansas Moon's mom, who's the other one, Proud Mimi. Shout out to them for their presence last night. It was very good of them. And shout out to Nance with the attempt of rescuing Warlight Ref. If you don't know what that's about, as I said, links down below, you can check them out. What we are going to do first of all, okay, just to catch up with everything, because as you know, when it comes to the Dylan Rounds case at the moment, it's gone a bit quiet. Coverage slowed down a little bit for now. Sometimes the previous comments or previous videos might not be acknowledged with the same frequency. That's why I want to try and keep it up to date by looking back at the previous video or so and incorporating it into this video, okay? And then we can move on to the main part. Hopefully people understand. It'll also allow others to join on in and not be too far behind. So we'll look back at the previous comments, see if there's any questions that need to be answered, any additional points, and just so everyone's aware, what we're looking back on at this moment in time isn't to do with the Zav girl situation. That will be later on in this video, so feel free to stick around from start to end to get a better idea and the picture of things, okay? Let's head on over to the comments. Right, so I'm just going to adjust the comments here, and don't worry, the length of it isn't that long. There's about 16, 17 comments. If anyone was wondering, yesterday's video when we looked at the comments there, that deep response and stuff to the other audience members out there, there was a total at that time of 121 comments, okay? Quite a lot, to be fair, okay? That's why it took time. So Jan Martin saying my report went through. Well, that's good to know, okay? Then we've got Jesus, React, Hey Warlight Ref, missed me. I don't know who you are. Angel Gabriel, back everyone. Guess it is where it is. But we move on. True Crime, when you get a chance, buddy, go to my board community post, right? What do you say? Someone was deleting their comments under your video. I have on my channel, I said I can still see them on YouTube Studio and told everyone they can speak freely on my channel. Oh, someone was deleting their comments under your video, under my video. Is that what you're saying, True Crime? Well, I believe you're correct in saying that. There was someone in the comment section of my previous video that said exposing tree. Salty Pancakes girlfriend was the one leaving those comments and then deleted them afterwards. I don't know why they deleted their comments, but I guess that's what you're talking about, True Crime. Do you have the screenshots or photos of them? Just let me know, okay? If you're in a situation where you're feeling or asking me, can I present them in my own video, those screenshots or comments, you're welcome to. You can, no issues there, okay? Let's move on. Miss Canada, hopefully Salty will be charged on the 19th. Karma is a bitch. Okay. Francis, hey, double pancake dude, you suck. Leave the man alone. He's done nothing to you, so go F yourself. So shout out to Francis, new viewer popping on in, I believe. I don't think I've seen them before. Or maybe they might have popped in, but not so frequent. But it's good of them to watch the video. That's good. I forgot this person's name because the username isn't showing. What happens if we click that? Robbie. Oh yeah, there we go. We've got Robbie, but not the Robbie you're thinking of. I'll report for you, yes, but legally, isn't there something you can do with YouTube to stop this stuff? I'm happy to help. Well, in the past, there was like impersonation accounts and they were dealt with and it was somewhat successful, okay? But that was like 2 years ago, okay? The last year or so, YouTube have been useless and they've been most useless as of recently, okay? So I don't know what's changed or why, It has, within a space of a year or two, because I know people have said YouTube has been on the downfall for a long time already. Okay. Well, I say this one. Glenn. Okay, some nicknames now. Tornado. Are you 100% sure? Maybe 110%. I'm not on anyone's team. I'm just curious if there is a way to get someone up. True crime creators can play so dirty, except you, of course. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why true crime creators can play dirty at times and play mind games is because it's all down to evolutionary competitiveness. They want to be the one that presents the breaking news, the discoveries, the interviews. And when they see others doing the same thing, they see it as competition, and they may use tactics to throw other people off, misdirection, and make other people look bad. So then everyone comes to them and not the other person. A form of desperation, a form of feeling intimidated and threatened by the presence of others who are just simply doing their own thing and minding their own business. It can happen. Does it happen in other communities? Probably, maybe just in different ways. Okay. This person, Wendy, yasay, but honey, that room needs filling up. Right, because it looks bland. I mean, I think it's okay. Somewhat under control. There was a spider on the desk, if you didn't see that. Scarlett, shout out to Scarlett. How can anybody impersonate you? You're one of a kind, so appreciate that. I mean, like, if someone like me, it's hard to replicate for people to be me or pretend to be me. I guess that's a positive in its own right, because then others will find it easier to detect who's real and who's the fake one. So I get that. Anyone else? How can anyone impersonate live? Christy. Interesting video, but I still don't really understand why I should care about channels I don't even watch. Creators hating and exposing each other for what reason? It'll be evolutionary competitiveness. For me, it's a waste of time. We could use to talk about cases or analysing maps. We already know that some creators are not mentally stable or simply idiots. I feel like stirring the pot only creates more drama and new reasons for somebody out there with no life to attack you. Thanks for your work. You have so much more potential than many of the limited creators you talk about. Keep up the good work. Appreciate that. And shout out to Christy as well for the super chat. It's funny, when I first saw the super chat and it had that like currency, I thought, oh, what's this dodgy Matrix stuff? But yeah, shout out to Christy. Yeah, the account's still up if you're wondering. Yeah, but it might take some time. As for anyone watching right now, here's all the links to the different places if you want to visit, okay? Alternative links to the channel that's impersonating me, the lies by Pancakes in the past, actually, further documented by Lacey H, as well as a screenshot proof of Pancakes owning 3 different YouTube accounts at the time when he was on YouTube, okay? Previous videos and some other bits and bobs if you wish to visit them. Yeah, I think I can actually tie on from what Christy is saying here, so that's actually good. So what I wanted to say as a heads up and tying in with Christy is that when I do the videos that I do, which maybe in the chat or the comment section in short bursts at times causes a bit of tension, some people fall out, and the theme of the video itself is specifically focused on trouble that has gone on, drama in the background, whatever, right? I know some people will say, don't cover it or focus on the other stuff. I get that. But as a heads up, it is under control. Reality is, the times when I do these type of videos, not the one right now, but like the one last night and then the one before that, the times when I create those sort of videos are times and moments where there isn't any breaking news in other cases, in actual cases, okay? I just wanted to let you know, because if there ever comes a time where there is breaking news at the same time as drama going on elsewhere, the breaking news will come first and will be uploaded first. If there is some serious drama going on and I've got to defend myself, I'll probably do a video and upload it in the same day. But in terms of recording, documenting and analysing, the video that comes first all the time, or most of the time, will be the breaking news videos of particular cases out there which I've been covering, okay? It's just that in recent time, with this other background drama or messy stuff happening, okay, that's been covered and documented because there hasn't been breaking news elsewhere. Just like when people said to me, why not cover Kenny Veach? Do Kenny Veach, do M-Cave. Well, I will do, and I'll leap right back into it when there's breaking news. There are other videos to do, but they're not exactly breaking news. So in a sense, not as much of a rush compared to what I'm actively covering, which is more active and equally important, if not more important, okay? So you could say there's a bit of a hierarchy, but there needs to be in order to establish which videos come first and which ones need to be covered, right? I guess it's kind of like common sense that, but maybe some people don't understand. But I just wanted to give you a heads up that when there's breaking news, it will be covered and it will be put first on the priority list. So it's all under control. Now, after last night's video and performance by some people, it is what it is. When it comes to here, I don't think it went through everyone's mindset, which it's no surprise there. What I do want to highlight is I got another prediction right. I got another prediction right. Okay. When I hinted that there was a possibility of a Black Widow somewhere lurking about, okay, maybe in plain sight, that there is a Black Widow somewhere that may act a bit silly or a bit funny or may play a bit dumb at times or not know what's really going on, but at the same time, they know exactly what's going on, where they're at, and what they'll do next, and how they're thinking. They know what they're doing. And I'd say I've seen that come into play. So I've predicted the Black Widow effect. Now, when did I predict it? Probably like a week or so ago. And I've seen it just in recent times. So that's all under control now. Adaptation takes place immediately. Okay? So got that pretty much under control. As for some other people in the background, the IQYC or the ICYQ with the wonky profile picture, they've just got an attitude problem going round and round. Besides what's going on at the moment, which they disagree with strongly, fair enough. In the past, they have criticised me and complained back then about other stuff. So, whingy, whiner, unfortunate, but it is what it is. When it comes to Fast Eddie, I don't think I was able to, get through to him. But what Fast Eddie demonstrated last night was a form of minimalisation, okay? So just to summarise it, Fast Eddie said himself, so what? Does it really matter if there is an impersonation account out there of you? What harm does it do? Well, it seems evident that Fast Eddie is minimalising the effect and impact it can have of a more established channel, right? How a fake account can drag your name through the mud down the line if that fake account does start becoming active and leaving comments elsewhere. As said, Fast Eddie, it's happened in the past. It was somewhat problematic. People did reach out, random people from other communities and channels went onto my channel and had a mouthful at me, had a go at me, said all kinds of things because they thought the bad stuff they heard was coming from me, but it was actually a fake account of me. So it's already happened back then. I don't want history repeating itself. So I wanted to hit the nail on the head immediately and spread as much awareness as quickly to prevent the fire from spreading. Hopefully you understand Eddie, Fast Eddie. But then again, probably the reason why you don't is because your channel isn't established and you're not like a proper YouTuber, so you're not going to understand the negative impact it can have on a person, okay? So it's just down to lacking experience, Eddie, but it's okay. I understand to an extent. But The demonstrations by Fast Eddie, by minimalising it, saying, so what? Impersonation account, does it really matter? End of the day, what harm can it do? It's almost like the same as saying to someone that's been inappropriately touched without consent, saying, so what? You got touched up? Is it the end of the world? No, you're still alive, you're still breathing. Oh well. That will trigger people worldwide, guaranteed. But as I said, sometimes you got to use extreme examples to get through those layers of one's head, okay? The fact is, there are different actions, different consequences, different effects it can have on people being negative. It might not be all at the same severity level, but it's equally as bad as each other, okay? Any bad event is a bad event. A bad experience is a bad experience. What it can potentially lead to down the line can become greater and worse for an individual, okay? So there's no need, nor is it necessary to be minimalising this or what someone's gone through just because it's not as big scale as what someone else has gone through. It doesn't solve anything, it doesn't fix it, it doesn't make it any better, right? It's maybe a level of ignorance or maybe just a level of not experiencing something, okay? Like being realistic. When people over time, some of the more stronger opinionated people that almost like pull me aside and try and get me to dislike someone 100% and like do some kind of witch hunt against them. Okay, that's very unnatural. It's almost like a form of bribing without the money. So could you call it emotional manipulation? I mean, you could say that, but then again, it could seem a bit inappropriate if they have actually gone through something bad at the hands of somebody else out there. All I can say is times like that when that's happened and I have been analysing someone, I can't go to the same depths of that person because I've not experienced what they've gone through at the hands of somebody else. Okay? When people have had bad encounters with pancakes over time, okay, I've mentioned strengths and weaknesses with pancakes regardless because that's just based off my experiences, okay? My experiences don't always link onto other people, so I can't relate in the same way and I can't go to that same depth of what other people are thinking until I experience it myself. That's just how it goes, the pattern. But I don't minimalize what people have gone through either, okay? So it's not that difficult to do, right? So just wanted to clear all that up. I'd say we've reached ahead. I'd say it's under control. And you know what the main good thing is about it all is, you know, yesterday, bit of tension, bit of heightened senses, and then there comes the next video within the same night, completely different subject, light-hearted, fun, and the live chat itself, what did it consist of? People laughing, people joking about. So we went from one transition to another, okay? It didn't drag on over. There wasn't any clouds brought on over. It was just like, let's get away from all the other mess and just focus on this. And it worked. So I've demonstrated it once again. It's all under control. Now, what we move on to now is the main part of this video. Appreciate people being patient. Well, we're going to start off with what Landen's response was, you know, within the whole Gannon Stauch case, right? Then once we've looked at their response, then we can transition onto Zavgirl's apology and analyse from there, okay? Let's head on over right now. Right, so here is the response by Landen, Bullard, Hoyt in response to Zavgirl, or I guess in general to the other people as well, like Natasha Cooper, who've done what they've done with the paywall on Patreon with the autopsy photos of Gannon Stauch, okay? This is a screenshot, like reposted, reshared by Crime Time Bed Stories or Bedtime Crime Stories. The original post by Landen, I believe, was from Twitter or Facebook, okay? So Landen says, Gannon is my child and is not an experiment nor a piece of paper or photo. He is a child. I pray that all that is involved in this heinous act will stop and no longer do this to anyone else. I will not give you any satisfaction. No one deserves this and no one wants to be in these shoes. You may say that if it happened to you, you may not change your actions. I do not wish this on anyone. I'm sure you would rethink your actions if this was indeed on you or your child. The good that I take from this is that good people still exist, and in a matter of seconds, Gannon's army came together. I surely hope Gannon taught you all a lesson. He is one who deserves an apology, my son Gannon. So there you go. It's straight to the point what Landen had to say. Quite clear to understand. And I don't think it was directly aimed at Zav Girl either, but everyone else responsible somewhere. And the reason why I say that is because what Landen says here kind of hints at Natasha Cooper as well. Let me just try and find it. Yeah, so where Landen says, you may say that if it happened to you, you may not change your actions. And then goes on to say, I'm sure you would rethink your actions if it was indeed you or child that went through that. If you remember, Natasha Cooper's response statement on her community post in recent time, which we documented, Natasha Cooper said herself that I would expect anyone else out there to do the same if it was my children that went through this. And I guess Landen is highlighting that comment made by Natasha and saying that you say that, but I don't think you really mean it. And that's what we basically analysed in recent time, okay? So you can see like little pointers who it could be directed at, but mainly men in general. As well, there was a few comments here and there which were highlighting in general that because of this action taking place and some of the key names involved like Zav Girl, it could lead to new laws being passed, changes being made or so. One it said that in certain states it's illegal to do this or to share that, but in other states it's legal and fine. So maybe there might be reforms down the line and change for a bad event which has taken place. You never know, right? So just wanted to share this with you and spread the awareness of what they think, okay, what their response was. There was a post by Zav Girl, I'm sure some of you will remember in recent time. It was like 2 days ago or so. And Zav Girl basically said in a community post, does anyone have updated contact information so I can get in touch with Landen, talk to them and apologise? Did that ever happen? I don't think so, because Landen has publicly made a statement sharing her thoughts, what she thinks about it. So looks like it didn't work out there. Though Zav Girl did issue a public apology. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that video to you right now. It might seem a little bit cut up. That's only because, I don't want it to be in its true original format because it could lead to, copyright or messy stuff. So just cut it up a little bit and then basically play the video. Of course, as we do go throughout this video as a whole, be sure to share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. Play the video first, and then I'll analyse it and give you my thoughts and opinions from there, okay?
Hi, everyone. If you're listening to this, then you likely know about the last few days. I want to apologize to everyone I've hurt, but especially Gannon's family. I've been doing some major soul searching and reflecting. There are many trying to define my motivations, and while I'm not looking for forgiveness or trying to make excuses, I do hope to provide additional context that has not been made clear. I have followed the Gannon Stauch case closely, and it was actually during the trial that I made the official records request. And it was in El Paso County, Colorado. I requested all the video, audio, and written records. I made no request for autopsy photos. I wanted all trial records, but my main interests were interviews with Letitia. The autopsy photos just happened to be in the files. I spent time reviewing what I received so I could provide more info from the trial. I believe many of my images were already shown during the televised trial, and I saw the photos on other public YouTube channels that live streamed the trial and shared the evidence. I didn't think any of the images were new. These photos were already public, although the video I put together with the coroner's voice was my own creation. I chose to put the video on Patreon because of the sensitive nature of the evidence. Putting the evidence behind a paywall meant added security, and I naively thought they wouldn't be made public. The video I created with a voice from the coroner wasn't meant to be shared outside of Patreon, and I chose not to put the photos on YouTube, a public forum, where the views would have allowed me to make more money, and the photos would be seen by more people. Because the video was placed behind a paywall, rumors about the images not being blurred or being different than what was shown in trial started to surface. No photos shows genitalia. I have made no jokes about the photos. I don't even cuss on my channel, and I would never allow derogatory remarks about a victim. I realized my intentions were not communicated well. My channel style is sort of me hanging out with friends and speaking off the cuff, and I did not articulate my reasons or think my decision through. At this time, my Patreon website has been shut down. I am not sharing any of the photos or video anywhere, although you can see the photos published on other popular channels. Nothing you see is from me, nor will ever be. To those who have supported me and followed my channel, and to the true crime community, I'm sorry I let you down. I cannot imagine the pain Gannon's family has gone through. My anger over what happened to Gannon is the reason I started following the case. I'm not this evil, heartless person like many are saying, but I'm also doing a lot of self-reflecting, and I'm looking into sensitivity training. I did not want to add to the family's loss with anything I said or shared about this case. And it will be a long time before I ever trust myself or my decisions again. To Gannon's family, I have no words that can make this better. No one should have to ever go through what you guys have been through. I am so very sorry for any pain that I have caused you.
So after watching that apology video of Zavgirl, be sure to share your thoughts, opinions down below in the comment section. As of right now, I'm going to give you my opinions on the matter, my little analysis of the apology video. So first of all, it was good of Zavgirl to do an apology video, considering not everyone apologizes at times, whether it be in the true crime community or further afar. Not everyone apologizes, but the Zavgirl did in this situation. I know some people could interpret it a different way. I know other people out there will think, well, the only reason why Zavgirl is sorry is because she's got caught. The only reason why she's doing an apology video is to try and damage limitation, so her channel doesn't get shut down, so she appears a little bit better, gain a bit of favour, bit of trust back in people. I get that. But I think just as a basic observation, it's good that they did an apology video to begin with, because not everyone does that, right? The way she worded things was quite well and somewhat smooth, somewhat clear to understand. It was more of a formal apology video, taking it serious with the use of words and sentences, so you can highlight that as well. Maybe some people would criticize it though and say it's not genuine, it's not raw emotion, it's not a raw video, because you did see, aside from the odd bit where I cut the video up, there was quite a few cuts within Zavgirl's video, so it means it was edited, right? Edited and pieced together. Now, why was that the case? Why was it not a raw, genuine apology video? Why edit it? Is it because there was a lot of umming and ahhing in between and some mistakes made? Possibly. But sometimes when it's more polished, it doesn't come off as natural, especially during serious times and moments where you should be talking from within, maybe. Okay, you're trying to get it through to someone out there or people to get your point across, your thoughts, your feelings, whatever it might be. You start editing it, it just loses that naturalness behind it, the natural touch. And sure, the point of editing videos is for it to be a bit more smooth, better flow, more visually enticing, and keeps that audience retention, attention rates. But at a time like this, it should be more raw and rough, okay? Just so everything's out in the open and clearly explained. But maybe if there was a lot of mistakes made when talking, you don't want to cause confusion. You want it to be clear to understand. So I can understand why she may have edited the video and cut bits out there. So it's kind of like give and take, okay? The part what I found interesting from what she has said, I don't know if other people believe in what she says, but Zavgirl mentioned that she reached out, she wanted the court documents, or like the audio, what went down in the court, photos there, got a hold of it. And what she didn't know of was the autopsy photos were included, but she didn't intentionally want those or ask for them, right? I think some people, like if that is the truth, I think some people will still see it as a criticism and say, well, if the Zavgirl didn't want autopsy photos or ask for them, yet she unintentionally or accidentally received them, unknown that they were a part of the rest of the file, what she reached out for, paid for, whatever. Well, then it makes it a little bit more dodgy. And the reason why I say that is, if Zavgirl had no intention in the beginning to pay to get a hold of autopsy photos, yet be in possession of them unexpectedly, and then to think, right, I'll upload them online on a different platform behind a paywall, that seems a bit strange, right? If you weren't intentionally going to get a hold of the autopsy photos, then when you received them, you should have been shocked and thought, oh, I didn't ask for these. Maybe I should contact the people and tell them that I didn't ask for this file. Are you aware that you sent it out? Was it by accident or not? You know, like, if it was accidental or if it goes against certain laws, depending on what state, right? And they've been accidentally added into that file, which Zavgirl didn't ask for, then it's like a mistake at the other person's end. And Zavgirl should have been the one to acknowledge it or raise the awareness, so it didn't lead to what's happened now. Okay? So from how Zavgirl worded it was, she was in a position where none of this trouble had to happen, because originally she wasn't intending on doing autopsy photo reveals or analysis, because she wasn't asking for it. She just wanted the other court-related stuff, documents, photos and audio there, which probably wouldn't have caused much trouble at all. So she could have prevented it. But does it make it innocent? It just makes things a little bit strange, in my opinion. It makes things strange how you're not intending to get a hold of that material, but when you do get a hold of it, you still think, oh, right, well, I might as well post it then on a different platform. Yeah, so kind of gone back on themselves there, which is a bit unfortunate. Was there anything else mentioned within the video itself that stood out to me? I don't think so. Just share your thoughts down below. Okay, of course. Oh yeah, she mentioned about Patreon. Her Patreon channel has been shut down completely. Now, from what I heard previously, people were saying that the post was taken down. That was it. But now, her whole Patreon account has been taken down. So it has had a serious knock-on effect. Now, does that knock-on effect tie on to YouTube? Well, where the video came from, or where it was posted to, wasn't on YouTube. So it shouldn't lead to a channel being taken down, because she hasn't really done anything wrong on YouTube, but she has on Patreon, and the consequences have been felt on Patreon with it being shut down. So is that it now? Do people move on, move forwards? Well, I think people are going to have grudges. People are going to, some are going to go above and beyond to try and get a shutdown on YouTube as well. Even now, it's kind of got to that point now where what's done is done. People have shared their thoughts, their opinions, and said what they've said, and so have Zavgirl. But I don't think it ends. At least for the coverage here, it ends, because we've done a full circle. That's why I'm just tying off all of this, right? But when it comes to Patreon, and you'll see it later on in one of the community posts, Zavgirl said Patreon shut down. But then in her other post, she says she's issuing refunds. How can you issue refunds to people if your Patreon account has been shut down, which I'd assume you can't have access to anymore? If you don't have access to it anymore, then how can you issue out those refunds? Is there other ways around it? Maybe if you know those people that paid for it in the first place, you can contact them in other ways and PayPal them or Cash App them or transactions in the background. So I guess there's ways around it. But, what about Natasha Cooper? Wasn't hers shut down originally? Does anyone know? Or is that one still up? Is Natasha Cooper's Patreon page content still public? Let me know. Provide an update down below. I don't think Natasha has done an apology video. If she does after Zavgirl, then it seems kind of like copying and following that trend, right? Because that's what I just wanted to add on in. When it does come to these apology videos, it kind of becomes one of those, like, what do you call it, events where, oh, it's time of the apologies, time to take accountability. You know what I'm saying? It's happened so many times over the span of YouTube through the years, of all different channels, shapes, sizes, some very, very popular, others mid-range, doing their apology speeches, okay, maybe applying some fake water and tears, saying I'm taking accountability, you know, I'm not perfect, none of us are perfect, I'm going through mental health issues, I need to rethink things, I need to take some time out, I need to go on holiday, you know, that type of stuff. Do we see it here with Zav Girl? I wouldn't really say so, because Zav Girl didn't, you know, start crying or showing fake tears. She didn't do that. She didn't bring in the mental health bandwagon, so none of that was used, so that's good. She said about, how did she say? That she needs time to reflect and take some time to reflect on stuff and do some training. What was it? Empathy training or sensitive training? I don't know what that is. What, she's taken a course or something? I don't know, but in some people's eyes, if she's taking steps forwards to improve, then that's a positive. If she's just moving on forwards, that's a positive in a sense. But there'll always be those in the background that will always drag her down or refer back to her as the problem without including all the others that may have done equally bad stuff. So there could be a bit of picking and choosing. What would I say at the end of the day when it comes to this apology video? Well, an apology video has come about, no surprise there. To save one's channel, to be able to move forward, you got to apologise first. I get that. She worded it pretty clearly and it was easy to follow and for most part of it understand. But the talk about not wanting or asking for the autopsy photos but still receiving them anyway and then taking opportunity with them to make use of them, you know, that just seemed a little bit dodgy and strange. If she was intentionally, you know, going to get hold of those autopsy photos, it would follow a pattern and make more sense. You can still say it's wrong to do, but she had it in her mind of what she was going to do. The fact that on this occasion, it wasn't on her mind, but then suddenly something clicked in her and thought, oh, I'll use them anyway. Yeah, that's the problematic part, okay? And I don't know if other people will acknowledge that, right? She's apologised to the true crime community as a whole. Does the whole true crime community know about this? I don't know, to be honest. There might be some particular ones out there that will know, and then other people out there that just do their own thing. Kind of like Christie's comment earlier on with true crime. She doesn't know half of the channels out there and she doesn't really care about them because why would there be a need to be if you're not looking for them and you're not watching the videos? That makes sense, yeah. I mean, even me. Though, then again, I've not... Well, you know what the weird thing is? I've looked at crime stuff, crime news, serial killers, all this and that. But for most part of it, I've never really come across a true crime channel in that sense, that typical true crime style and format. It was only when I covered the Dylan Rounds case, 2022, when I started coming across all these different true crime channels. It was weird, right? Never heard of like 90% of true crime channels, right? The only, if you want to call it, well, you can't even call it true crime. I'm not going to say the last name because YouTube will get too sensitive and it led to the actual guy having to change his username on YouTube, which was absolutely stupid. But a guy called Rob Gavkin, he's a guy with a bushy beard, dark eyebrows, black hair. He's called Rob. He's covered mysteries. He's covered the true crime killer case files and all that, and it was done well. Not looked at the videos since, but back in 2015, 2014, I did look at them and they were good. Was it a true crime channel specifically? No, because it covered standard mysteries and missing people and top 10 things, etc., right? That might be why I've not come across true crime to that extent. But yeah, me, myself, I've not heard of 90% of these channels. That's what makes it a bit weird, right? And the only reason why some of these channels I only know of is because they've been dragged in or they've caused drama themselves, right? Drama spreads awareness of who all these people are for good and bad reasons, and that's it. When I have been looking at an actual case, an actual mystery, I've not come across most of these channels. So that explains that. Let me know your thoughts. Like when you people watching right now, people watching in the background, if you have come across my channel or if you stumbled across me, how did you find me? Did you find me through researching a specific case? Did you find me through a recommended video? Did you find me through just because of drama and that's the only reason why you know of my channel? Just let me know down below, or I could even do a poll right now, possibly. And feel free to share your thoughts, right? So hopefully that explains that and people understand my reasoning behind Zav Girl. I mean, I'm not going to go on a witch hunt. I've never had encounters with Zav Girl. Never have done. Okay? Be realistic. I've never have done. Have they ever caused me any trouble, problems? No. People have said Zav Girl appears nice and this and that. All I would say is, obviously, what's gone on recently, bad, sensitive topic, etc. You yourself watching, if you have followed Zav Girl, let me know your thoughts. Has Zav Girl ever done any other bad actions in the past? Or is this the first time? Besides criticisms of maybe covering a case poorly or getting a few mistakes, making a few mistakes, that aside, has Zav Girl ever done anything other in terms of badness, something sensitive, something not so appropriate? Let me know your thoughts down below, because if this is the first time, it shows that they're not like a reoffender. Does that make sense? I know some people could say, well, this is the start and the beginning of everything, where down the line it might happen again. But I guess you got to look at Zav Girl, okay, the amount of time or how long she's been on YouTube for, how many videos she's made, and that percentage. What's the percentage of mistakes made, or the percentage of serious bad things she's done out of her entire time on YouTube covering stuff and amount of videos made, right? Like, I've come across some people on YouTube, some channels, as you will know, been a bit troublesome, and they've done it more than once, and it's like, oh, here we go, to be expected. But someone like Zav Girl, when this all came about and I heard about it, I thought, oh, damn, wow, wasn't expecting it. And I wasn't expecting it because I've not really seen her get into this trouble beforehand. Unless you can fill in the blanks, feel free to do so, but I'm just basing it off what I know or what I've come across. And of course, there's times where you come across nice people. Don't mean to say they're actually nice. You can have a dark side to them still, but then again, everyone can have a dark side, or someone could activate a dark side at a point if in a certain environment or a certain experience, right? So what happens now? Where do things go? Well, we can look at these recent posts in the community tab by Zav Girl herself, see her additional thoughts as well about the refund as well. Check the comments out, responses by people. Don't worry, we're not going to look at them all because, as you know, there's quite a few comments and responses. But we'll just go through a couple. And as said, all this is publicly viewable. It's all in the public eye, right? So let's head on over right now. Right, here we are, Zav Girl community page. If you go down below, 11 days ago, so in between, there's a big gap. And in between that gap, there were other posts, but they've been taken down ever since. So we covered this now. These could go down as well, depending on how much resistance she gets. So she says, my apology video is not monetized. Sometimes YouTube runs ads on unmonetized videos. I have no control over that. I made sure I didn't monetize this video, so I apologize that they are putting ads on it. So some people have complained on Zav Girl's apology video, if you go on it on YouTube, that there are adverts upon that video. People are then assuming that she's monetized that as well to benefit and profit off of all this. But the reality is, and I can say so myself from what I've witnessed and experienced too, when it comes to videos out there, some videos here and there can still have adverts on even if they're not monetized. At the end of the day, YouTube are the ones responsible. YouTube can and will at times put adverts onto non-monetized videos, right? When you look back at Kenny Veach, Snake Bit McGee, YouTube channel name, missing person, but before going missing, uploads M Cave hike footage. Every now and then, I should say, you go onto his M Cave Hike video, an advert will play. And you think, wait, did he monetize the video? I thought he was missing. It gets a bit confusing, right? But you can also add the argument in, or it's YouTube. YouTube putting ads on videos. Why? Well, maybe if a video is performing, doing somewhat well, YouTube will capitalize upon that and put adverts on. I mean, it's pretty hypocritical when you think about it. At times, YouTube can have a go at you for inaccurately rating your videos and say that you go against YouTube guidelines, even though you follow them. And when you have appealed videos, they have been accepted and are all okay. Okay? You know, they're very strict with that. Oh, you know, you can't upload this, you can't upload that. It goes against guidelines. But at the same time, it does follow guidelines, but YouTube and its stupid system claims, supposedly, that it doesn't. But then YouTube are quick to add adverts onto non-monetized videos, which could be sensitive videos. That is so hypocritical of YouTube to do that, right? And what doesn't help is moments like this, like with Zav Girl, okay, when YouTube have put adverts on themselves, then it makes Zav Girl look bad. It puts her in even more trouble, right? How do you explain that? How do you get yourself out of that hole, right? Because if you think about it, if you're already caught up in controversy and then more on top of it, like these adverts put onto the video, even though it's not monetized, if she tries explaining it, like how she's done here, saying how YouTube runs ads on unmonetized videos, not much you can do about it, who's going to believe her? If people think she's untrustworthy and it was bad of her to do what she did with the autopsy photos behind the paywall, monetary gain, as some people would call it, then are they going to believe what Zavgirl says here? Not at all. So it's an unfair situation regarding this specific aspect. Now, if Zavgirl wasn't caught up in all of this drama and trouble, and she was just doing a video about a sensitive topic, and there was like adverts upon it, and then people called it out, and then she said, oh, well, YouTube are responsible for that. Maybe then people would be more understanding. But when you're already caught up in controversy, it makes it so much more harder and difficult to say something and for people to believe in you, right? So it's an unfortunate position, this. Okay. Let's just check the comments out. 600 comments. Yeah. We're not going to go through all of them. We'll just look at a couple. We'll look at the top rated comments, okay? I think that's the fair thing to do, what most people agree with. So Devious says, you defended your actions over and over, blamed everyone but yourself. Patreon shut you down because you didn't take it down. What you did is unforgivable. So that's interesting, that about the Patreon aspect, that yes, it was taken down, but not even by her. So other people had to step on in. That could be interpreted as a bad thing. Taking accountability for an apology video, but not taking action in shutting or pausing your Patreon channel account, right? So, yeah. Any responses do we need to look at? Patreon deleted the pictures multiple times from what I heard, and Zavgirl kept re-uploading them, and then they eventually just kicked her off the platform. Now, the thing is, I don't know if this isn't entirely true, okay? So just be cautious. As I said, some things could be exaggerated, could be false. Yeah, at the end of the day, what Zavgirl has done hasn't gone down well, but some people do jump onto the bandwagon and, exaggerate, and it makes it worse, makes it even worse. Got to try and be realistic, okay? But I just read what's here. Don't mean to say it's 100% true or completely false, right? Judy, she chose Patreon guys because they love these sort of pictures displayed on their forum. You seriously think Gannon's family would accept your apology? You had the power to tear up the pictures in your hand. Yeah, okay, 100% exactly, that's correct. And YouTube needs to step in and handle this. Right, I'm afraid she's in more trouble than she thinks. I'd be an absolute mess crying my eyes out. Okay, such inhumane behaviour, just wrong on so many levels. These cold, heartless eyes with the bizarre flat effect. Zavgirl just trying to justify her actions without accountability. Right. Oh, be quiet, y'all. Should learn to move on too. You don't care about the family. If you did, you wouldn't standing behind other atrocious things. She's already one step ahead of y'all. I believe her when she says she's learned from it. Exactly, unfortunately, these selfish people think they are God. They're judging whilst wasting away their own life on YouTube. So we've got a bit of resistance now of supporters and haters, right? You're delirious. She didn't learn the other 3 times. The other 3 times? What? So she's uploaded it 3 times despite being taken down on Patreon. Right. Don't tell me what I am or anyone else you're delirious thinking. You're no strangers on YouTube. Reject. YouTube used to have freedom of speech. Used to, yeah, with certain stuff. True. But, if you take example for my chat, you can have freedom of speech from the looks of it. Yeah. So it's very back and forth. Now what Letitia did is unforgivable. I'm just appalled at the anger and hatred being thrown around over this. I'm so glad to know that all of you are perfect. I'm so done with this terrible world. Why don't all of you, with the hate to unleash, go bother whoever that is? The only people that need to forgive there are Gannon's parents. I mean, if you think about it, right? Let's look at Gannon's parents. Yeah, Landon, however you say the person's name. Their initial response, what we saw earlier on in this video. She said what she had to say, fair enough. Did she directly attack anyone? No. Did she use really bad words? No. Was she threatening? No. She was just honest and said what she had to say. More controlled than all these other people here, right? What tends to happen is when caught up in drama like this, or when certain families or friends or anyone out there is caught up in it and are suffering or already are suffering and then go through something else on top of what's currently going on, it tends to be the fan base or just the audience in the background who aren't impacted are the loudest ones and likely the ones to be most reckless and volatile and verbal. It tends to be the victims that end up responding back in a more controlled way than the audience does. And that speaks volume, right? It's weird how the ones who are worse off, the ones caught up in it all to begin with, are also the ones that just have more control and can word stuff somewhat appropriately without lowering themselves to the other person's standards, let's just say, or getting nasty. But as you see here with some of these comments, very defensive, very resistant. And sure, you can say they've got a reason to be that way. But then again, you look back at a good example of Landen, however you say the name, and the way they responded back more appropriately. Them, like family members, are more of in a position to reply back like how some of the people here do, but they choose not to. So that definitely says something. Mr. Zeep, complete inventory of your own personal value system needs to be done here. This guy, Fong, that wasn't an apology. That was straight up deflecting and hiding. Someone else supposedly doing it doesn't make it right for you to jump on the bandwagon also. The thing is, you say that Zavgirl is deflecting, but look at Natasha Cooper, which I don't know if she's done any more since, but her original statement, that's what you call deflecting, right? Butter, for anyone new here, this isn't the first time she has made poor decisions when involving... okay. She's had faces as her emotes. What? Children that are no longer with us on Earth. During Kylie Rodney's case, she made insinuations of inappropriate relations between teenagers. She drags out cases over months and months, scientifically getting her money's worth. She has been doing this for years now, all about greed. She is self-serving and really doesn't care about others. An empathic person wouldn't monetize on others' tragedies. So basically, what Butternut Swag is saying, that absolutely every single person on YouTube, a part of the true crime community, and every single established big channel that covers true crime should not monetize their videos, should not exist on YouTube, or even be there to do videos, put time in and put in the effort. That, in a sense, is truly stupid, okay? You think about it, there's a difference between people covering true crime and doing it somewhat appropriately, putting in the time and the effort and the research and all the other stuff that goes into it. It does require effort at the end of the day. There's a difference between that and monetizing videos, and then someone just simply getting on a bed, showing some photos, getting into positions, and then uploading to OnlyFans and earning $50,000 a month. You know, one requires more effort than the other. One's more genuine than the other. You know what I'm saying? So I think some people go a little bit too over the top at times, saying, oh, you can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. Pushing it a little bit, okay? Was there anything else to highlight? But, you know, the comments made by Butternut about the other things, like the Kylie Rodney case and these emotes of people that passed away, maybe it was done more as honouring those people in memory of them who are no longer here, but I can see why some people may show resistance and say, well, it's a bit insensitive or it's a bit creepy to have these faces of younger people on the front page or in the chat. It just seems a bit odd. But, you know, if there is anyone in the chat right now or anyone watching in the background, feel free to clear up any mistakes or misinformation caused and created by people on here, okay, if there is any. Though if you want to reinforce it, you can do that too, right? This guy, Shaggy, say, do you think you are getting falsely accused of things you didn't do? Karma is giving you a taste of what you put others through. Remember ex-anime and niece? Remember when you were insinuating her niece was really an adult faking being a child in a missing person case to thousands of people? Did you ever correct that? Because bringing up other issues really takes away from things that matter, Gannon. Actually, Gannon's family may want to know who else the woman he called evil has hurt, wouldn't you? Especially if they're considering a lawsuit. No, not at all. Everyone's just so negative nowadays, and it's sad. No wonder the world is the way it is right now. Of course, the world is negative when we have people like Zav releasing autopsy. The thing is, Zav Girl isn't like the main and only reason to why the world's messed up now. Like, let's just take in mind, you can always jump on the bandwagon just because it's a famous person or a celebrity that's done a bad action. But what about the general public? At the end of the day, the general public are the majority. There's more general public of a certain tier on the ladder than there is of people higher up, right? The ones higher up can do bad stuff and get away with it at times. That's not good, right? But when bad things do happen with those people, they cause bad stuff, the intensity and focus is so much stronger because it's the majority general public looking up at someone up there, mob mentality in a sense. But what happens if it's someone within your own group, the general community, the general public that do an action? Do they get targeted the same way, intensified the same way? Not always. So it's a little bit picking and choosing, I would say. But this is the thing, as I said, if there are past events which have happened, past bad actions demonstrated by Zavgirl supposedly, it could all catch up with what's gone on in recent time. Jessa saying, turning the comments off on an apology video is in poor taste. Let everyone have their spot to vent. The best thing you can do is redo your apology without saying but even once. Just say I'm sorry without excuses, period. Also, if I were you, I would stay offline for a while. Real self-reflection takes time. This seems more like damage control and not an apology. I saw your original community post defending yourself and it couldn't be any more opposite than your apology. I think you thought you had a lot more people on your side. I'm sure you will delete this post soon too. You see, the thing with some people, pulling away from YouTube, self-reflection time, taking a break, it's not always possible or practical, because if you walk away, what happens? Time is money, you lose out on money. For the channels out there that, are like full-on YouTubers, okay? So you take that into mind if you were walking away from YouTube. As well, just the fact with YouTube that if you are inactive for a very long time, if you return back, it's harder to spread awareness and just to get people back, because YouTube doesn't favor you anymore. It's very corrupt at times, right? It's very messy, but that's just the way it is. Anything else? I noticed she turned the comments off. I expected her to. Right. So that video, what I played to you earlier on, the comments were turned off from what people are saying here. Right. I'm not surprised. Other YouTubers have done that in the past, turning off the comments to avoid criticism. But look at the community post. That's where it's all gathered around. The bit about where Jessa said how you may have thought that you had people on your side, more of them, but that's not the case. I mean, how do you look at it? Being realistic, and not everyone will agree with this, but the reality is, even during times of bad actions demonstrated, if you know people or you get on well with people, whether it be friends, family, or if you've got a built, established community online, you will always get certain people out there that will defend you regardless, right? All the way till the end. Some might eventually break away, but there's levels of loyalty, right? And levels of standing up for someone. And yeah, it can make them look bad too, but they're being genuine in what they believe and think at the time. But if, in this case, the majority are against Zavgirl and the majority are viewers of her channel, it shows that, were they ever loyal, or is it always fake? Not standing up for Zavgirl, not defending her, and at a certain point when it does all crumble, then you just simply change opposition, change sides, and then attack her from the get-go. You get what I'm saying? There's like, if there's no loyalty, then it makes you think, and you look back and think, was there ever any loyalty? Were the cracks always there, and it was just waiting for it to all implode upon itself, and then everyone jumps ship? Makes you think, right? I know at times you can say that when you get loyal supporters or people that stand up and defend you, they could be considered delusional themselves. But if you're in a position of the channel owner cup in all of the mess, you'd like to be in a position where you think that there are people that will stand up for you regardless. But it doesn't seem to be the case here. Anything else? Yep. And yet the one thing the family requested, an apology to Gannon, the person you did this to, wasn't done. Is that because it was more an apology to the true crime community, as she worded, not an apology to Gannon themselves, literally to Gannon, like one-on-one, maybe. Brady saying, the problem is that you did it in the first place and didn't think there was anything wrong with it, so your apology only counts if you never do it again. I guess time will tell. Fair enough. Attempting to justify what you did makes everyone question if you are sincere. Right, so that's kind of like what I brought up earlier on. Mark, someone also needs crisis communication training. Best thing to do, react fast and apologise. Do not add any justification whatsoever for your actions because you took so long to address it. It was basically a lost cause. You're likely wondering why no matter what you say, nothing works. Well, that's why you took way too long to respond and remove the video, or rather let Patreon do it for you. Then you tried to add additional context, which is basically just manipulating your viewers so you can justify your abhorrent behaviour. Fairly well worded that. I can understand that. We'll just read this last one or two. Your apology was scripted, edited, and about as self-serving as one could get. It reeks of insincerity. There's no coming back from this. So basically, some of these comments, the way they've worded it is basically what I said earlier on in the video with my own thoughts. Stacey, Letitia took his life. You and others who spread these pictures across several platforms took his dignity. Now, all of us have to worry about running across these photos accidentally, something no person should ever come across. I think what you also need to acknowledge, Stacey, is not just autopsy photos you need to be worried about where children could come across it. What about OnlyFans? What about all of that bandwagon stuff going on? Or you want to go on TikTok? You want to look at gaming or funny videos or creative stuff? Oh no, because the next slide on is, oh, check out my link tree. Check out my OnlyFans. Check out my spicy content. Oh yeah, of course. Thanks for bombarding me with that. So you got to be on the lookout for that. Instagram. It's not really been so much on YouTube because you don't get those type of adverts. Thankfully, you don't come across short videos to that extent. It's TikTok, the worst place for that. Okay, very inappropriate TikTok at times, and Instagram too. It's pathetic. It really is pathetic, and it is definitely one-sided towards a certain group of people. But then again, the platform is more dominated by a certain group of people. But then it does actually make me think, though, like where people talk about inequalities and the pay gap and this and that. Oh, it's not fair. It's not fair. Oh, but it's pick and choose when it comes to OnlyFans. It's okay for a certain set of people to get this amount, but when a guy does it, it doesn't work out the same. And then people of the other gender are quick to say, well, that's just because of the appearance and the performance and how good one is. Yeah. Oh, so it only matters there, but it doesn't matter in other times, like when it comes to sport or performance there. Picking and choosing. But at the end of the day, besides autopsy photos, there's a lot of material out there, right, which could get in the wrong hands and you could accidentally stumble across, and it can get messy, it can get awkward, and it can be damaging, right? But then again, when you look at LiveLeak, which was a website which, uploaded by people from around the world of bad stuff happening, gory things, that website's been taken down ever since. So things have been restricted, taken back, okay? I know you've always got the dark web, but some of it can leak onto the normal web too, so you've got to be looking out for that. Right, let's leave it there. See, that's just her thumbnail or something, the apology one. Hold on a second. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so this was the other post she said. We'll just read this one out, okay? It's one of the main ones. She says, monetization is off on this video and has been off this whole time. If you don't believe me after this, I really can't do anything more to convince some of you. You just aren't going to believe anything I say, even when I show you, but I'm trying my best. I'm sorry, but I think I'm going to move on now. You guys can continue to talk about this, but I'm not. I'm sorry for the pain I caused the family. I had no ill intentions. Although now looking back, of course, I wish I would have thought it out better, but I can't go back in time. I can only move forwards and learn from this. I'm sorry to everyone I hurt. Everyone who joined my Patreon will be refunded. Oh, I forgot to add, so click on the pic and you can see the whole screenshot and see it's not monetized. Does it work? There you go, monetization off. So that's pretty much it. Check the comments. Amanda Johnson. It doesn't matter how much she apologizes, it's crazy to me. You will all sit and watch YouTube videos for hours with influencers talking about details of the most disturbing cases. 90% of you will hop off and go right to Google to search the pictures. She makes a mistake. She likes most of us. You all are ready to have her hung. Some of you comparing her to the murderer. Whilst it was disrespectful to put a paywall on it, her intention was not that people are making it out to be. Yeah, I'd be mad and upset if it was my child. I guess what I'm saying is those pictures have been released to public 3 months ago, multiple places. Crazy how nobody blew those sites up or bashed them. I heard nothing of a protest to strike law and crime. I know it falls on deaf ears. You don't see my point. I don't even watch this lady that much. I just have a heart. And I see we are all human, and whomever doesn't like her, just delete her. You all won't be happy until you can take this woman's money, happiness and life by taking the channel down. So like that long-term grudge, I get. So I guess you can argue it's refreshing to see an alternative perspective on this matter. Not directly in support of Zavgirl, but understanding her in some way. So yeah, Amanda Johnson. And it's pinned and liked by Zavgirl. 149 people agree with it. You'll note, what's this one? Edward. You will notice it's mostly women dropping these comments. I'll admit I made 3 comments 4 days ago before the apology. There is no difference than a group of schoolgirls that gangs up on the prettiest girl in grade 9 because she talked to someone's boyfriend during lunch. Right. For F's sake, Letitia Stauch actually killed Gannon. She's the reason his pictures were even taken. And yet I'll bet not one person has written one letter to Letitia as of the time Zavgirl made her apology video. This is now nothing but an effing lynch mob, and people are just leaving comments for the sole reason of hurting Zav. Yeah, it is becoming a bandwagon, let's be realistic to an extent, because there'll be other people out there that have done the same thing but aren't targeted to the same extent. What's this one? The Jules. So explain to us what the hell was her intention. Go ahead, we'll wait. I mean, to be honest, a lot of comments left seem to be by females, but then again, if Zavgirl is a female herself and the way she covers stuff and people relate to her in that sense because of gender, I don't know. You know, sometimes you get it's kind of like me. At one point, the percentage of genders that viewed my videos was kind of like 50-50 almost. But then because I started uploading short videos of gaming and football, it was more interested towards males that watched. So then the percentages changed in a different direction. But if you just stick to true crime, like what I've noticed over time, right? When it comes to certain topics and themes, it might be more dominated by one gender over the other. That's how it seems to be with true crime, psychology. But then when it comes to gaming, it's more the other way. So just what I've experienced, okay? What's this? Ironheart. You searching online is not comparable to putting pictures of a dead person behind a paywall, and now those pictures are on Reddit and 4chan. What is sad is you don't know how nasty people are and how they will send those pictures to the family and so on. Don't believe me? Watch the closing statement for Jodi Arias. What's that all about? Cleo the Playful Witch, if you're watching in the background now, let me know what Ironheart means by Jodi Arias, her closing statement. Let me know in the chat, okay? Because I know you've covered it. But, you know, the comment earlier on, it was saying how the photos, the autopsy photos, were released much earlier on and leaked onto other websites. Is that actually true? Because if it is, then why did no one form a lynch mob back then? Is it just because it wasn't there wasn't as much awareness back then? Was it just simply because it wasn't by a singular person, but by a website in general? Maybe. An apology filled with excuses and deflection. So we're seeing that again. Okay. Zav's ready to move on, but do you think Gannon's family is able to? Too bad Juliet didn't convince you to not do it. I hope your vacation with her was splendid with all the you've caused. Taking accountability is an essential and admirable trait. When someone takes accountability, they acknowledge their actions, mistakes, shortcomings, but deflecting blame onto others, it involves accepting responsibility. Then stop making excuses. We all saw your actions during the Kylie Rodney case, and absolutely amazing you found a way to go lower. Right, so they're calling her out on the Kylie Rodney case. We've got Bob the Builder. Take in mind, this account, Bob the Builder, is not Bob Farrell, okay? Just so you know. I understand that this new attention to you and your channel is overwhelming, but it's hard to see how your apology is genuine when you keep liking comments that say you've done nothing wrong. That poor boy is now a victim of you to defend himself. Delete all the videos you made about this case. Don't mention the victim or his family ever again. An apology isn't the end, it is the beginning. I think that'll do, won't it? Moving on. So some people don't like the idea of moving on. The girl on the pinned post was most likely one who paid to see those photos. So Dragonfly is now assuming. Okay, so you start seeing it from both sides. You start seeing those cracks show within people, whilst those calling out others, they can demonstrate actions, what they're calling out others for doing at times. Right, let's round it all up now. So my conclusion to all of this is, the reality is, if another YouTuber was caught up in this controversy and they were a dead-end channel, a complete nobody, not popular, not established, not many subscribers, what would happen to them? Well, they'd probably be flattened and squashed in seconds, channel taken down, everything taken away, a few people tutting, rolling their eyes back, and then forgotten about within seconds, and everybody moves on and forwards. But because Zavgirl is more well-known and popular, It's just one of those witch hunts. That's what it is, a witch hunt. Because there'll be other people out there responsible which haven't been targeted to the same intensity. And if there were websites out there that previously had the autopsy photos on there before Zavgirl did that, if that is the truth, well, they weren't targeted. So why only Zavgirl? When it starts becoming a little bit one-sided, can you take it as serious, or does it start becoming a little bit biased? Depends. And I guess you could interpret it as a bit of, what do you call it? A bandwagon. I don't know where I saw the comment now, if it was on one of the posts when I was scrolling through it earlier on, but it said something about how there was a certain somebody out there that has been on a more of a witch hunt, that has done, like, uploaded about 7 or 8 live streams within the last 11 days to do about Zavgirl. I don't know who that person is. Is it Queen Bee? I don't know. There's different people out there, right? So it gets hard to know who is who or what's what. I think Queen Bee said something about an interview in the past with me, but I don't know what that was about. And to be honest, sometimes interviews getting dragged in, vocal, verbal, no, way too risky. Way too risky, right? Maybe a mystery community isn't as bad or toxic, but true crime. But then again, you could argue that true crime communities also attracts the interest in ex-criminals who then look into the true crime community. So there's danger levels there as well, and unhinged people, all kinds of stuff going on, right? But, what will happen next? What are the predictions? Should I be predicting with this stuff? No, I'm not really going to say it in a sense of a prediction, because I don't cover this type of case or stuff going on, right? So it wouldn't be right to make predictions in general. But, I wouldn't be surprised, okay? I wouldn't be surprised if something happens to Zavgirl's YouTube channel just because of the mob mentality of people maybe reporting her and stuff, okay? If Zavgirl has done stuff in the past to do with other cases, then did people report about then in masses or not? Is it all going to catch up, the past with her now, with what she's done recently? I mean, all I would say is, when it comes to those autopsy photos, if that material, which has caused all these problems, originated from being uploaded to Patreon, and the Patreon account as a whole, not just that post, but as a whole, where she would make money in general through posting other content as well, for all that to be taken down, she has already, felt the consequences. Sure, other people will say, well, she's not felt enough consequences, but where the problem originated from and the material, she has faced the consequences. Now, for people to say her YouTube channel should be shut down now, why? She has done a bad action, but it was on a different platform, and that platform has been taken care of, and she's now suffered as a cause of it. Well, I don't know if you can say suffered, but it's somewhat worse off now because that's been taken away from her. That platform, that way of monetization, right? To apply the autopsy photos to YouTube and say that she needs to be taken down for it doesn't make any sense, because as for YouTube at this moment in time, she hasn't gone against TOS, because those autopsy photos, which would be deemed insensitive and a sensitive topic and inappropriate by YouTube's standards and guidelines, well, that material wasn't put on YouTube in the first place, so there isn't really a case to put across to say how that links with what's been done on YouTube, when it never happened on YouTube, it happened on Patreon, hence why Patreon took action and took an account channel on there down, right? YouTube is its own thing. Unless Zavgirl next does something else inappropriate or insensitive or something to do with the Gannon Stauch case, then maybe it could intensify stuff, right? Zavgirl's channel could still be taken down or terminated just from mass reports, If there's thousands upon thousands of people that, are getting very defensive and retaliate and react quick and take it out on her on YouTube beside Patreon, then yeah, it could lead to that, a mass report, which doesn't quite make sense because the problem originated from Patreon and that's already been taken care of. So what happens now? The person moves on, moves forwards, try and learn, but that grudge and that lasting bad taste in people's mouths will always remain there. As for credibility, as for trust, that's going to be at an all-time low as well. But if bad things have happened in the past, yet somehow she was able to bounce back from them, will it happen again? Maybe, maybe not. Or will the supposed past drag her down or come back to light? Who knows? It could get messy. It is a bit of a mess, right? Will any more channels out there fall or crumble? I don't know. I don't know why it's going on in like back to back all these different channels, whether it's to do with a particular case or not. It's just a lot is going on, right? But just want to leave it there. I'd say we've come to a conclusion, come to a bit of a head. Don't really need to cover anymore unless there's some kind of twist or turn, okay? But I'd leave it there for now, right? And people watching, of course, I wouldn't say there's any need for a witch hunt, because what good will it do, okay? So just try and keep it control. Be sure to share your thoughts, opinions, and questions down below, and they'll be answered shortly. If you do have any grievances, list them down below too. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. We'll see what happens next. Goodbye and good night.